Yeah, it's not even that Haas hasn't been he's not the DreamHack Austin Haas. It's that Clem has not just exceeded our expectations as far as a foreigner Terran, a non-Korean Terran. He's exceeded our expectations as to what we perceive Terran can even do. He's actually that good. Usually reserved for talk about TVZ though, and this is a different matchup where Haas can potentially get an upset. Very, very small chance. We're in the game, and in the bottom right, for Team Liquid, he's the red Terran, Clem. You want to do an intro?
Oh, I thought you were gonna take the other caster, but I guess I can go. You already had a little bit of caster chicken with Hearthstone before, so that's only fair. And then in the top left we have, the incredible Haas, and we're really excited what he comes up with. Already, the first step of my prediction can't be fulfilled anymore. There's no warp gate yet. I guess there could be a second one though.
There could be. I was not paying attention to the exact pylon count, but if there's ever a 14 pylon, then we gotta actually be very wary. Maybe TLO will be correct. So it looks like it was just a regular pylon into the regular scouts, into the regular nexus, and Clem is also not going to be playing around with any type of factory expand. So 1-Rax expand for him. And what was I going to mention? Oh, that's right. I was going to mention Haas's little profile. Apparently he's been recently outed as a is it Koreaboo? Is it just a fan of a particular group? I don't know, but that was one of the recent memes with Haas on Reddit, so.
Oh, I totally missed it, but... yeah, when he was, on cam, right?
Yeah.
You could, see his room. There was a lot going on there, yeah. So far, Haas playing pretty standard, expanding quickly, and I think Clem is probably pretty happy with the situation, but that doesn't mean that Haas can't still mix it up with something crazy later on in the path, but so far, really standard.
Can hear the desperation in TLO's voice. Please, proxy a pylon, please. Just go ahead.
Yeah. I'm not saying when it needs to happen, right? It could happen at 8 minutes. It's fine as long as it's somewhere out on the map, a little bit far from everything.
It could, man. Zest actually has a build where it's a 3-base 10 gate all in or something with no robo. He just proxies double gateways on the map. So if Zest can do that, Haas can also do it. But we are talking about honestly a straight up game. Everything is standard here from Haas. The Adept into the Stalker, it is Haas. 50-50 on whether this is a Blink or potential Dark Shrine. But I feel like if it was a Dark Shrine, he would be the player to try and hide it. Its occurrence as a macro build has risen lately, so that's why I'm holding off, but
yeah, absolutely. And so far really one of the most standard PVTs you can imagine, so it's a little bit unexpected. Maybe I should have predicted that Haas plays standard 3 times in a row, and okay, that's a Dark Shrine, but that doesn't count yet. That could be, maybe there could still be something out on the map, but it's getting a little late. Probe is out on the map. I have a little bit of hope here.
Okay, all right, let's hope that he proxies a gateway, which would actually be kind of late, but maybe it happens. Clem has been dealing with the little scuffle of Adepts, not really feeling the necessity to build a bunker, which can sometimes backfire, but I think it's okay. Clem has actually gone into a 3-Rax as well, which is particularly interesting. So the factory is going to be the easiest thing to push away an attack like this. So by skipping it, it can be a little scary. This was a 3-Stalker opener, but it wasn't. And with Haas actually getting so many Marines in his face, he might be able to determine it's a 3-Rax, but the thing I want to point out about a 3-Rax is that nowadays, every Terran is building missile turrets automatically, because the 3-Rax is very susceptible to a DT build, which has also become more popular. And that's exactly what Clem is doing. It's not that he knows 100%, but he knows it's a possibility, and it knows it could kill him, so missile turrets are already on the way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not the biggest commitment by Haas. It's not totally crazy. He didn't go skip too much economy or anything like this, and he only made a pylon. So that's a little unfortunate for me, but already losing a lot of units here, and Haas, basically his only hope here is to sneak in the DTs all the way through the wall, but that doesn't seem very likely.
Sometimes there's that really awkward timing where there's not enough units, but with only 1 DT, that's extremely unlikely. Yeah, it's gonna... Okay, second DT comes in, but yeah, if it had come together, that wasn't a lot of units, but so be it, so it goes. Clem's units are on the other side of the map, now looking for an aggressive attack. He should have at least 1 scan, if not 2. knowing that the obvious defense would be DTs. Shield Battery is going to make them surprisingly strong. Stim has to be used, takes down one Shield Battery, but there's 2 more behind it as Haas realized that this was a situation. And I think he'll live, but this is not the game that Haas is hoping to have start off.
Yeah, there's no more additional scan for just a little while, so another DT could help here too. Shield Batteries, of course, also quite powerful. And yeah, DT's surprisingly good fighting units actually within the Shield Battery, so saving a lot of time here. Clem's army count is getting pretty scary though here, and Haas is pretty far from getting any kind of tech unit. Goes for the double board shield, so that's maybe a little bit ambitious, but one way to get back into this game, I guess, if he gets ahead in the upgrades, if Clem is being just a little bit too slow.
You know, I've seen a couple of games. I think it was actually Estrella back in like 2016, before he was the Estrella we know him now, that showed that, you know, double upgraded mass charge slot can actually be pretty good. The most important thing about it is that it really has to get like a good concave. Like, you're gonna have a lot of units, but they're not really high quality even with their upgrades. They can be kited, they're weak against Widow Mines, they're weak against a defensive player who just like stays at home. But if Clem thinks he's gonna win, maybe he runs into a bunch of charge lots, it could go south. Problem is, we're not to the point of charge lots with upgrades yet, and Clem is already doing a push. Still not worried about bringing Medivacs over. He knows he's got the kill time, so he's gonna go for it. Takes down a gateway. Should at least stop the Nexus or pounce on the army. Either way.
Yeah, Clem being a little bit conservative here. This Shield Battery is gonna run out of energy soon, and that's just not a whole lot of damage out of Haas here.
Nope, not gonna be able to hold against this one. Stalker is not even really able to showcase their skill. The blink was done. They maybe could have been picking off units, you know, a bit faster, but Haas didn't have that many Stalkers. Again, tried to do like a couple offensive warp-ins. That didn't work out either. And now at this point, it really is desperation. Still no upgrades. Charge 7 seconds away from finishing. Wouldn't help anyways. Another DT gets warped in. Takes damage? How did it even take damage? Was there a scan? Did I miss that?
Yeah, I think that was a scan when it was warping in, but another scan is about to be ready. Almost everything is cleaned up though, but Haas loses a ton of workers, down, you know, half in supply, so the next push is already coming. As you said, Clem just now finishing his Medivac, so very aggressive, but I think that's, you know, the perfect playstyle against a DT opener like that. Don't even worry about getting healing. You're just gonna outfight these units, especially if you have a good and healthy mix of Marauders in there with lots of shells.
Yep, I mean, it looks awfully one-sided to the point where you're just like, you know, why would you even open up Dark Shrine against this guy? But I guess to go over why a Dark Shrine has turned into more of a macro opener for some people, generally, like, what happens is one DT tests the waters, realizes, okay, I can't do this. Then they think, okay, 3 racks, gotta defend. The defense can go smoother. Okay, GG, game 1's done. The defense can go smoother than it was. And if it goes smoother, if you don't require extra shield batteries, you don't lose a bunch of warp-ins, you can actually start building a fairly healthy stalker count and then kind of control the map and pick off any attempts to push out like Clem was doing. Clem isn't really supposed to be able to just like ram units forward. DTs are supposed to hold him back. Stalkers are supposed to pick him off. But he could because the damage was already done in that counter. And obviously the DTs couldn't do anything offensively, so it looks more one-sided than ever before. Yeah,
the DTs, they don't really need to do eco damage if they just be camping in front of the base, spread out, really force a lot of scans out, right? And then that way they kind of do a little bit of eco damage, foes can get a third base. But losing that first DT for pretty much only 2 Marines, that it really needs to run perfectly for builds like this, right?
Yeah, it does. It's
I guess I'm gonna have to hope for a map win here.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yes, so it's already looking like this one might be a false prediction here, but yeah, maybe Haas can get a victory. I think he's eventually gotta try a proxy Stargate. Like, I know Clem has like really solidified his defense against it because he has been tested by one of the best proxy Stargaters right now in max packs, but I really feel like you gotta try. I don't know if anything else is gonna work.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little rough.
Well, there's going to be 2,000 atmospheres for game 2. Clem looking as strong as we expect. Haas trying to maybe play, again, it was a Dark Shrine, but that can turn macro, so maybe trying to play outside of expectations just a tad. I think you got to go balls to the wall either way. Like, either super greedy and just, like, surprise the guy, which wouldn't have worked against the 3-racks, to be fair, but I don't know if Clem does that every game. Or super cheesy and aggressive. I don't think you get to play middle of the road against Clem And I say that about a lot of players, not just Haas.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He just is too smooth, too fast. You can't really exploit going in the middle row. And starting again, we have Haas in the bottom left of the map. Let's see what he comes up with this time. And actually, there's also one more thing that is noteworthy for this series. We also have the fastest game contest sponsored by IMC. So I think this could also potentially come into the play here on top of my predictions. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, I'm muted. My bad. I was gonna say that's for all of the tournament though, right? So you'd have to, even if you got a 4-minute game here, Clem would have to be watching the next 100 games that happen, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, all right. Another standard opener. Haas did not go for a particularly fast pylon, and this looks like a probe that is gonna eventually scout. Maybe not. Oh, no, actually, it was like he could avoid... Okay, if Frank gonna have a proxy, he could avoid the SCV just to keep up appearances, but no, it actually is going to be a proxy pylon, and unlike PvP, when you proxy a pylon, you actually proxy something with that.
Right. Clem is scouting, so he's definitely gonna see that there's not a second pylon. He's gonna see there's no, nexus, obviously, so he should be privy to the fact that there's something going on, and especially with an assimilator being stolen, gas being stolen, like he should know there's something aggressive following up. So I guess with assimilator stolen, you go for a Stargate?
You can actually still go for... I mean, you can still fit in the factory, which is the ultimate defensive structure. So while it might be tempting to be like, oh, I don't need gas for 3 racks, it's kind of dangerous to do. I'm actually wondering if Clem was even thinking about a forge. He did eventually scout that it's a Gateway 7X core, but the second supply depot came down fast to almost try and block out that's with the probe. It, of course, didn't. But that puts him in a 1-base situation where he definitely intended to go for a 1 racks expand. So that's why his minerals are very high. But it's most important that he gets like his wall up. And then if he can get a bunker on the low grounds, like more power to him. He has yet to realize that it's a proxy Stargate though, which I'm not sure about what. Okay, yep, this is Haas. Now this is what we wanted.
That doesn't count if he does like 3 structures in one game.
Oh my god!
Can we get a robo in there?
Can we please like just make the little? I mean, it'd be so amazing if he proxied literally every single tech structure. I think we have to put a little asterisk on this one. Please.
Yeah, I think I was specific about 3 different games, but still, that's pretty funny.
Oh boy. So I was already uncertain about this build from Haas because it's not a threatening Void Ray. It's not. It's supposed to go around the main base and you're supposed to get on top of production because Void Rays actually don't do so hot against Terran past a certain time. They're supposed to catch you when you don't have a lot of production, a lot of units. But he's gonna just try and... he's gonna do a Dark Shrine build after this. So Clem's
so why did you make the Twilight Council like proxy and then the DT shrine in the main? That doesn't make much sense to me, but I guess whatever works.
That's such a good point. The SCV could get back in and see that. Oh my god. What? Okay, so he's... You know what? It's so funny though, is that Clem is still getting a missile turret. Now, this I don't think is because he's thinking, oh, he's also proxying a Dark Shrine, because no one in their right mind would ever think that. It's because he's actually using this as an option to defend. You can defend the proxy Void Ray with a missile turret response or a Cyclone upgrade response. So this just coincidentally, I think, works against Haas. And that's very unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess the only way this could make work is if you just snipe down the missile turret with 2 Void Rays or something like that, because it actually can't be repaired that quickly by SCVs, but that also relies on there being absolutely no scan.
This is so silly. It's a 1-base DT, but it's kind of hitting around the usual like 4:30 to 5 minutes. So Clem, well, I mean, I think you'd actually be really... You'd be mulling hard against this, because there's no way you predict the Dark Shrine. It's very possible. He goes after the missile turret. There's no secondary one, which I actually thought there might be in the main, but he sees the shimmer, and that orbital just finished in the natural. That timing was so perfect for Clem. That wasn't even intentional. Oh my god.
Yeah, more DTs coming in. There's going to be a second scan, but not a third for quite some time, so maybe this is working? I'm not sure.
I don't even. The DTs actually add a lot of power if they're not being taken down, but then again, they are being taken down, so it's like if the DTs and the Void Ray are on top of a bunker or on top of Cyclones that can't micro, then yeah, that's a ton of firepower. But that's the whole point of Cyclones, that they're supposed to be able to micro. The more SimCity comes down, sometimes the more complicated it is, but we're also kind of reaching the point of no return as far as the number of units Clem has. Not out of the woods quite yet, but I feel fine for Clem.
Yeah, absolutely. Those batteries are also not really that close to the structures, so Haas can't really fight within the regeneration range, and, well, Clem is just producing so many units at this point.
Yeah, he's obviously taking this seriously, but the one thing it's also not supposed to happen with the Stargate proxy is you're not supposed to have two bases actually mining. I mean, not by much, but still. You're not supposed to have a forward defensive position. Again, that production is supposed to be somewhat camped even. Doesn't even mind the canceled missile turret, just puts another one down with a tank here and many Marines. Maybe he's going to actually try and push out. Shield batteries maybe getting a little bit low on the front lines, but hey, down goes a Cyclone. And that's kind of about it. Marine count still kind of healthy.
Yeah, Clem can play this out pretty patiently at this point. He's maybe even being a little bit over-aggressive, but at the same time, there's just not so much that Haas can reinforce here.
I've seen so many positions where the proxy Stargate actually ends up working despite such a strong start, but I'm thinking this isn't one of those positions. Like, even though
right. Like usually the Void Ray count would be rising, right?
Right.
But we've been kind of like stuck at 2 Void Rays because there have been like how many DTs? 4 DTs, I guess. That could have basically been 4 more Void Rays if this would be Void Ray build, especially on top of the tech structures here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly the summation I was going to say too. Void Rays find an opportunity to kill another Cyclone, and the last one's going to go down too. Bunker as well. Stalkers go after the tank. Oh, not the bunker, just kidding. It lives, and Clem lives for the 2-0. That was exactly what we were hoping for from Haas, and it was still pretty much, what we expected, which was that it didn't work out, but I very much enjoyed the effort.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen a Robo on top of there as well and just drop those DTs in the main maybe, hoping that there's just a turret in the front. But yeah, like it felt a little bit like a self-goal going for the Void Rays there, forcing the turret, because most Terrans would get a turret against Void Rays, right? So a little unfortunate.
There's like a couple of things at play here too that I find particularly interesting. So one of the reasons that Haas doesn't want to go for a very standard Stargate proxy is that it can be denied if the Terran's like thinking immediately to that. The Reaper comes out, the Marine comes forward, a bunker's built. So I understand why he didn't do that, but I feel like if he had done a regular Stargate proxy, like the correct location and I'm just gonna say the correct location, and he didn't steal the gas, I feel like Clem might have opted for the Cyclone upgrade response as opposed to getting the engineering bay. So in a way, I feel like his gas steal was actually bad for him, and he shouldn't have done it.
I've been there when you're trying to be too creative, and then it actually circles back around, and you're just mind gaming yourself. So I understand.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to think about. I mean, it looks like, because then if it's proxied like normal, the natural command center might not be built at all. Actually, you might just kind of opt to add on more barracks, and then like you're definitely not thinking about building missile turrets or a scan, because you're like pretty 100% sure that it's only the Stargate. But it's just funny how that worked out. The missile turret response came into effect in twofold, and the actual Void Ray proxy itself was less powerful because of it. But it worked back around and actually nipped Haas in the butt. So we'll see what else he's got going here. Romanicide will be game 3, and he's got to get a victory so that TLO can be proven true, which I'm not sure is going to happen.
Still have hope.
Well, okay. Someone's got to have hope, right?
Exactly.
All right. In the top left, is that we're responding? All right. Top left, down 0-2. He is the blue Protoss, Haas. Oh,
is the probe already leaving the map? Okay.
Wait, what?
Oh, okay, so is this gonna be a fast expand, maybe? Kind of like stats style?
I guess so. All right then. Not as cool.
Is that a proxy?
Does this count? Well, I don't think so. It is actually just going to be that high ground position. But before we forget, in the bottom right, it is the Team Liquid player Clem. Yep, there he is. So now there's one thing that I've missed. So how fast has Clem's scouting SCV been? Because I know he did it last game, but I didn't see when.
I think it was before Barracks was finished usually, but this game maybe he's going to be a little bit more conservative here. Yeah, what I could see happen, okay, and there's a probe out on the map by Haas already. So
oh my god.
It's not looking bad.
Okay, alright, do you actually, okay, oh man, no, it wasn't Vonnie Research Station. There was a map where you could actually completely wall off a Reaper in the natural, because the Reaper hop-up was in the natural. And Protoss were forward, quote-unquote, like, you know, building their wall to expand, and then they'd actually just, like, proxy elsewhere, and I was wondering if you could do it on this map, but you can't. Like, Romanticide has too many options into the main. There's no way you could trick Clem. This actually is just an expansion build with a wall, which I don't even know if I like. I mean, he's probably done it before. It probably works, but I don't know. I don't like.
Yeah, I guess you can kind of fight on the ramp maybe with a shield battery with relatively few stalkers, but it can definitely backfire a lot too. If Terran just goes for a big marine tank push or something like that, and then the wall absolutely works against you. Like the hook with a wall like that should be that you get a quick third base, right? Like that's the only reason why you would want to do that, or project that you want to do that, and then you do something else. So you know, there's still a few tricks that Haas could pull here.
That is definitely true. I think that's something that Clem's gonna have to keep in mind. But he can definitely get a scout. Clem still going with the SCV scout. No Reaper, gets a bit quicker into just multiple Marines producing. Factory comes out as quick as you would like, or the 1-Rex expands, and you still get all this information. So it's still working out quite well for Clem. He's just like, oh, okay, I guess we're gonna play that type of game. He doesn't know the technology. Twilight Council is coming down in the natural, which there's no way for it to scout it now with the SCV dead, so is that going to encourage Haas to try and Dark Shrine again? I don't think it should.
Yeah, I would actually like to just see Stalker play from him here and play a pretty conservative game, and then maybe do some sort of mix-up and have like a 3-base timing or something like that hits really hard. Do something with Stalkers in the mid-game. Because sometimes you can definitely get quite far behind as Terran if you're just being too afraid of all the different things that can hit, and then you're just staying home too long and Protoss like runs away with the game, right? So let's see if Haas is doing that. Definitely, you know, he can play macro. It's like we always like talk about his previous strats, and obviously he's not quite as good a macro player as Clem, but he has played macro before many times.
And this is gonna be it. It's a macro game. It's a 2-gate fast third Nexus. I think the 4-gate would have been possible. It is Romanticide after all, but perhaps would be a little too obvious. So he's going to try and get a very supercharged economy and play into the mid game, which I still think we'll see something kind of unique, like a more preference on Zealots than trying to transition or something like that. But oh yeah, it'll be a strong economy unless Clem can do something. And Clem does have a full medevac headed out, not Widow Mines, but actually Marines. And a Cyclone could come towards the front and even try and snipe like a pylon or two. In the hands of Clem, these Marines are quite deadly.
Absolutely, but I do think I quite like this position from Haas. I think he should have enough to defend this. His Stalkers are in good position to defend this drop, so I don't think he's going to take any damage here.
Well, yeah, 5 Stalkers, 5th one warping in, you really shouldn't. Like, you're one-shotting Marines with 4, so it shouldn't.
Double Forge once more.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I don't mind this. I feel like it's even kind of a throwback. It's Haas, but as far as general meta goes, it's kind of a throwback to go like super all in with the basically all in with the charge lots and the upgrades. Yes, you have a third Nexus. Yes, you have upgrades, but you are going for a big old swell of units to surround the first push and then immediately counterattack if you can. And I actually love to see a proxy gateway, which this probe in the bottom left might be setting up.
So now the question is, would that count? I feel like
I think so.
It's open to interpretation. I'm not saying it needs to be happening in the early game, right? So I'll take it. I'll take that as a win if that's the fact. But yeah, Haas is staying on 2 gas, so he's gonna go super heavy on gateways, have superior upgrades, make a bunch of stalkers, and then mostly salads.
Yeah, the stalkers are almost a front. They do actually provide map control, and they are important in taking down like medevacs when possible, but it's so much more about the zealots. So much more. There's like literally no gases taken in the natural, where if you're doing like a zest charge link, you at least got a third gas. So very committed. As I was saying, it doesn't allow for you to tech over into Colossus or Disruptors that easily. It might be a Hail Mary play if things don't work out, but this is now kind of depending on Clem not able to recognize. So his last scout was the natural, where he saw absolutely no gases. So I think he's already aware of like where it's headed, certainly not Colossus. And now it's a question of, does he overextend and get swamped by zealots?
Yeah, and this is where that wall actually could also really backfire for Haas, because if he plays a salad-heavy style and then gets stuck behind the wall, that's going to be a huge issue. So the Raven is going to harass a little bit. I actually think that might be not ideal for Clem, who could really benefit from having an anti-armor missile here. So I think Haas is probably actually happy about these turrets.
I'm a little scared for Haas's timing right now. 4 more Stalkers warped in, actually, as opposed to just as many Zealots as possible, which they're not nearly as effective when it comes to overpowering pushes. They can control the push, but it's all about the Zealots, I would say. They don't want to reveal themselves, but Clem still saw it. He knows there's going to be a backstab. What's his response going to be? He can't exactly evacuate right now. The Stalkers are right there. The Wood of Mine's actually microed so it doesn't splash back on the bio. There's the lift off, but then there's the punish. The Stalkers go after it, and Clem, I don't know if he misread this or was overconfident, because I'm kind of leaning towards the latter. But if Haas had proxied a gateway, or actually had a Robo with a Warp Prism, I feel like a counter could have been very strong.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, I'm not disliking this. Just taking the straight up fight at home as well, and just cleaning up and keeping the unit count low. Because if you take fights and clean up, Zealots are so much better, right? Like the bigger the Terran army gets, the bigger the Probus army gets, the more they fall off. So I think just taking fights is probably the right course of action here for Haas, and then really hit with these superior upgrades.
I still wish there was a proxy gateway. I think there's more.
Well, yeah. I do too.
Well, yeah, you do too. But the probe is still there, as if it's like preparing to do so. But it's not happening. 4th base, obviously here, Haas has a lot of mineral income. Still has yet to add on any gases. The Wood of Mine drops are finding a little bit of success. I actually think they're more important in their scout, though. Like double, triple confirming that it is just all in on the Zealots and the upgrades.
Yeah, absolutely. He's scouting now that there's not even a 3rd or 4th gas. So I think, Clem is starting more structures between his natural and main. I would actually even love to see a few bunkers. And his game plan now should be just to basically max out, right?
You know, I usually wouldn't say that. Like, it's... Wait, Haas max out or Clem max out?
No, Clem.
Oh, okay, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was going to say for Haas, like usually you're expecting a mid-game push because it's a very mid-game oriented attack, but I was going to add that it's Haas, so if he was going to max out on charge lot 5, 6 Nexus, I'd be like, yeah, okay then. But right, for Clem, he's got to be defensive. He's got to get up to Wood of Mines and Ghosts and upgrades, although he'll always be out-upgraded. It's still better for him than at least 1-1. And then that's an army that just straight up beats whatever Haas has to throw. The only thing that will beat Clem once he has that composition and is maxed out is a perfect surround, which I don't think is going to happen, but it could.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a little bit misleading how many bases Haas has. So he's going up to the 5th Nexus, but his economy is actually not better than Clem's right now. So there's really no big urgency for Clem to be doing anything. I would love to see a few more gateways added by Haas very soon as well, but looks like Clem is moving out. He's catching a few units, which is a huge deal right now.
Clem so far has actually played this game pretty much perfectly. I do think there was an opportunity to be threatened if Clem had actually engaged and then had a proxy gateway near him, but as it is, this game is borderline perfect. He reads into the situation, he gets the appropriate composition, he waits until he's pretty close to maxed out, and should just be able to bully down any army that Haas has. And Haas, he didn't take any engagements, he doesn't get any positioning, and he's not up to any technology, even though he's trying to be with some additional gases. And this is just a terrible position for Haas. He's got a little run by doing something, but I mean, I guess the good news is he can sacrifice a Nexus, but now he's got to hope for that perfect surround that I was talking about. Is this really going to be it? Doesn't really seem so. It's kind of awkwardly timed on either side. There's still some maneuverability for Clem. He can maybe even evacuate after killing so many of these Stalkers. The charge shots coming in might just seal the deal as far as the retreat goes, but it doesn't actually slaughter Clem's army, and that's what it needed to do.
Yeah, I know, it's an absolute nightmare situation. Dealing with Medivacs with pure Zealots is even worse than when you only have Zerglings. And Clem is just trading so efficiently, supplies are becoming dire, and I think this is pretty much over from here.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Haas, not want to give up too easily. He's going to go after the Medivacs with the Stalkers, but it actually looks like he's still struggling to clean this up. There is finally the real pushback. And maybe Clem doesn't know about the top right base, right? Okay, so Haas is like, all right, I'm still mining off of 4 bases. I could definitely rebuild a charge that army. And, well, his base might just be found out here. Yes, it is.
Yeah. This was almost close to a beautiful game, but then just a few things didn't work out as cleanly as possible. I feel like if Haas doesn't get his units caught, maybe has a little counterattack here and there, and then one perfect surround could really change things up, but Clem was just playing too perfectly here.
Man, I really feel like Haas could have done something more aggressive. I'm so surprised with how I ended up playing this. There's the tap out. Clem will get the 3-0, and he was only proxied once. So TLO, true or false game, it is right now false. So those of you who guessed in the Team Liquid thread, false, you're one step closer to victory.